Namaste everyone. Today I'm taking my Yamaha Aerox for its first servicing. It has been around 1 month since I got my Aerox, and as the service manual mentions that the first servicing should be done within the first 1000 kilometers or the first month, I'm taking my Aerox for a servicing. This is for those who know about Kathmandu or live in Kathmandu. I decided to go to the Yamaha service center in Balkhu to get my first servicing done. I'll explain a bit later on why I chose this service center. Now, talking about the servicing, the first thing that has to be done before any servicing work can begin is to give the Aerox a thorough wash with just water. The Aerox was taken into the washing station to be cleaned off of any dirt, dust and mud which might be stuck on it. This makes sure that the mechanics can work on a clean vehicle. As you can see, the service center in Balkhu has a relatively large area dedicated just for cleaning of the vehicles. Along with this, the entire service center is pretty large as well. I've seen a couple of Yamaha authorized service centers which lack adequate spacing. This means cramped spaces where the actual servicing work is done. Now what this means is that the risk of vehicle getting scratched while it is inside the service center itself is pretty high. That's why you should make sure that the service center you take your vehicle to is spread across a relatively large surface area with plenty of space available for vehicles to move around and mechanics to do their work so that your vehicle or scooter doesn't get scratched while it's there. Now, getting back to the actual servicing work, there are two things which should be checked during every servicing, especially in a polluted city like Kathmandu. It is the engine oil and the air filter. It's best if you replace your engine oil during the first servicing itself. And as for the air filter, even though it should be changed after maybe 10,000 kilometers or something like that, it is best if you get it checked every time and replace it if it has gotten too dirty. The mechanics also remove the housing of engine and air cover itself as well to remove any dirt that was in there. Now coming back to the engine oil, make sure that the mechanics put only 900 ml of it in your Aerox. Also, please make sure that the mechanics are using the correct engine oil. In my case, they used the same engine oil as the one that is used in R15 because Aerox is considered a high performance scooter. But I know this isn't the correct one for Aerox, and I'm going to make sure they use the correct one during the second servicing. The mechanics did tell me that only the engine oil and air filter needs to be changed during the first servicing. However, it is best to have them check everything in your scooter, especially if it is the first servicing. So do tell your mechanic to check everything when you take your Aerox for your first servicing. I asked them to have a look at the rear brake just to make sure that everything was fine there, and I found out that in case of Aerox, accessing the rear brake is a pretty difficult task. This is because in order to access the rear brake, you need to actually take off the wheel, and in order to take off the wheel, you need to first remove the radiator covering, the entire exhaust pipe, you need to disconnect the suspension system, and then only can you gain an access to the wheel. Similarly, you should also tell the mechanics to check the front brake pad and ABS plate as well. This is to make sure that everything is fine there. This was something I forgot to do myself, but you should ask them to check these parts as well. Along with this, you should also ask them to check the brake fluid and the coolant level as well. This too was something which wasn't done on my Aerox, but it should be checked. The reason I'm telling you to have all these things checked is because the first servicing is done within the first month period of your purchase. But the second servicing is going to be done either after 3 months or after you've ridden for the next 3,000 kilometers. That is a really long time. If something does go wrong with your scooter, then you will find that out either while you're riding it, which is highly unsafe, or after the next 3 months, which is a very long time. That's why it is better to have everything checked on your first service itself rather than not doing it on the first one and then waiting for the next 3 months. After the servicing was complete, everything was then put back on place and reconnected. The scooter was then once again taken to the wash station to get cleaned. This time they applied soap or shampoo to make sure that they got rid of any oil or grease which might have gotten stuck on the scooter during its servicing. Then, after giving it a thorough wash, it was rinsed off using clean water and then brought out to get rid of all the water that was stuck on the scooter. They used pressurized air to make sure the water was out from every corner of the scooter. After the scooter got dry, they then handed it over to me, and that's all that happened during the first servicing of Aerox.